Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another adventure of Dallas Social Distancing Toastmasters. This evening, we are going to have a special speech, something that we don't normally have, as one of our members is trying to complete her DTM. I'm going to be the meeting facilitator, as usual, for this meeting, and I'll just call attention to a couple of things real quick. We do have an agenda that is up on the website, should you like to follow along. You can do so by going to, as always, our website, clicking on the member section, coming down to the club flyers and announcements on the lower right, and selecting the agenda, which is the 4.9 PDF. So we do have an agenda for tonight for anybody who would like to follow along. We will have a slightly different format tonight because it's one long meeting, or I should say one long speech, effectively. But in the meantime, I think all of the rest of the rules are going to be about the same. I will do what I need to facilitate for Jody. I believe she's going to use some breakout rooms that I will be helping facilitate. And as a result, I will come in when needed and otherwise stay out of everybody's way. I would like, if I could, to bring our invocation pledge to the front, and that's going to be Rob Giles.
Thank you very much, Mark. Tonight, we're going to forego the pledge. I would say if you have a flag near you sometime soon, go ahead and do the pledge, even if it's by yourself. Keep that patriotic spirit up. In that, I guess, realm, I would like to kind of mention something that's related to teamwork, and specifically a quote from Andrew Carnegie. Teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments toward organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. And that's Andrew Carnegie. And we as a nation, as the world, need to work on all of those things, come together and do what we need to do in order to overcome our situation here in the world today. At this point, I want to mention that the agenda does note some duty holders. We're going to forego the descriptions and introductions of them. I've asked the duty holders to go ahead and write reports if they can throughout the meeting, and then disperse those after the meeting so that we can all see kind of what the evaluations were. We will get to an evaluation portion of the meeting if time allows. It doesn't look like time will allow it, but if it does, then we'll do that. Otherwise, I've asked the general evaluator as well as the evaluator for the speech/project to provide a written evaluation for our club as well as for Jody in specific. At this point, I would like to introduce our speaker for this evening. She is working out of the Success Leadership Series, specifically Leadership Part 3. She is an Advanced Communicator Silver, Advanced Leader Bronze. She's working toward that DTM and she's pushing hard to get it. Her assignment today, her project today is working in the team environment. Jody Liu. Jody Liu, working in the team environment.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you very much for the introduction. Hi. Before I start, let me just ask who actually here is familiar with the old discipline? Who's in the old discipline and who's in the new discipline? Give me a show of hand. Old.
New.
New. Okay. Okay. New.
I've done both.
Hey, Nicholas. Hey.
I've done both.
Hey, everybody. Okay, great. Yeah. So I see that we have some members that belong to the old discipline and some are new. So just give you a brief description of the old discipline. So this is Success Leadership Serial, which is one project of the old discipline. And technically, we're going to do a workshop here. And we all have a manual like this big. It's about like, I have a manual that is about 50 pages long. And then technically I should send you all, each of you one participant notebook. But also when you are done, we can send you, if you're interested in the participant certificate, I can mail it to you if you're super interested. If you die to have it. Okay, so without further ado, let's start. I think at the very beginning, Rob gave us a very, I want to tell you that first thing first, I basically redesigned this workshop, and I removed some parts that I think it's common knowledge, and then also redesigned all the exercises to make it more fun. And I also embodied a little, a mini table topic session here, so we can all have some fun doing it. Now, okay, let's go about first thing. Let me put my projection here. There's a PowerPoint that I want to project, which is here. Okay. So this is the standard slide. First, we talk about the team benefit. I think Rob gave a very good introduction about what team is all about. And the one thing I heard very clearly is the common goal. Common goal is exactly what's driving a team. And then there's, of course, there's a benefit for having a team. And then, and Rob, do you want to talk a little bit, what is the benefit for individuals for having a team? What do you think?
Sorry. I would say that the benefits for the individual, as far as having the team is concerned, is that the individual gets to grab, just like we do in meetings, gets to grab input and feedback from their teammates. So I think that that's where the benefit of being in a team environment for the individual comes into play. That's
right. Great. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The key thing is like we support each other, right? Like this in this Toastmaster group, we are a team and we support each other. And Lee, I wonder, as the club, as the head of the club, as a leader, what do you think the benefit it is for the leader?
Benefited leader to have a team.
Yeah.
The most important thing is being able to delegate and share the responsibility with other people, because working individually, you're not able to do everything. But collectively, you can accomplish a lot. Actually, reminds me of a quote from Helen Keller, who actually once said, together we can do, individually we can do very little, together we can do a whole lot. So that's the thing that I think of as president. With a team and of other officers, we can accomplish a lot. Individually, we really can't accomplish much of anything.
Awesome, that's great. And the last one is organization. And Nicholas, last time you mentioned that you started working in commercial real estate. And as somebody new, what do you think having a team, why that's important for an organization, for example, like your employer?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jody. I think the benefit to having a team, especially with starting new in a new profession, is being able to absorb all of the information they give you, really like a sponge. You know, you learn that information, you absorb from someone a lot more experienced, the veteran, and you get to grow. And that makes you only better in your field. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Awesome. I think thank you very much for sharing. I think that what you all said is exactly what we want to emphasize. And I think that's what I feel being in this Toastmaster organization as well. In our team, I feel like everybody contribute, everybody shares responsibilities. That's why we can have Zoom. That's why we can have these meetings every week during this very special time period. And then by having a team, we can achieve more, just like all of you said, right? And another thing I think very important is the leadership style. And in the past, we have authoritarian leaders, and these are the people who are making all the decisions and tell everyone what to do. And that's obviously not the leadership style we want to have. And what we want to have is team leaders, right? Who can share responsibilities and facilitate group. Like you're like a coordinator and you're like in supporting everybody to achieve what they can do more. And actually, some time ago, I listened to this podcast. It's a podcast talking about leadership and talks about this Google group did this research on leadership style, and they found out the most effective leadership style is the team this is the leader who actually encourages participation. Like when you have a meeting, leaders want to share the talking with all the members, and that way members will feel more sense of belonging and they feel more that they're empowered. And for me, that's really eye-opening, because growing up in Asia, we're just basically, I mean, I was born in Asia, but then I lived in Europe most of my my growing up time. But in Asia, the style is basically you are told to sit down and with your hands behind and just shut up. And then when I went to Europe, in Italy, it's totally different. Everybody talks. It's hard to stop. Everybody wants to do their own thing. And I think that's probably why today it's so hard to stop coronavirus there, because people are too liberal. That's one thing. Okay, so enough about team benefits. And then next slide. Today, we're going to focus 5 critical areas of team environment. First is developing team relations, and second is encouraging and commitment, and then through the 3, 4, and 5 fostering collaboration, building trust, and resolving conflict. Actually, I have a game for each of this area except the first 2, because the first 2 is kind of easy. First one, developing team relations. I think most people we already know. A good way of developing team relation is through getting to know. Is a good thing, right? You want to get to know your members, and then you want to, when people join, you want to ask them questions like where they're from, getting to know them. And another way is teams usually adopt is to have team building events like volunteer events, and those you know, outings that can make people getting to know each other. And the other one is the encouraging, the second one we talked about earlier, I can go back, is encouraging commitment. And for that, leaders usually encourage commitment by involving team in goal setting, right? And planning, and also problem solving. I think Rob, at the very beginning of the meeting, the quote he gave us is just nailed that. He talked about how important it is to have a common goal. And to have common goal, I think the key thing is you want to have people all sit together to come up with those goals and to plan that together. And that's why, like, company at the beginning of the year, you always have like those goal setting meetings, and then they don't just give you those goals, but they want you to write your goals and put in the system. And that's what I think it is, right? As somebody, as individual, you want to know what your own goals are, and you want to go know what your team goals are. And as leaders, you want to make sure the company goal is the top-down goal is it's passed to your team members. And then you also want to make sure you're helping your team members to achieve their goals. So now let's go to, can you see my screen for this?
No. No, you're not sharing it.
Oh, I'm not sharing. Uh-oh. So the whole time I'm not sharing?
No, I tried to reach you through chat. You did not notice.
Oh, sorry. I didn't. All right.
While you're working that out, can I check on it real quickly on Chase Irwin? Chase, are you okay since you're in? Are you hearing and seeing everything?
Okay, so let me see. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so you can see my screen now. Okay, so these are the 5 areas we just talked about: developing team relationship and encouraging commitment, which we just talked about. And next, we're talking about another critical area, which is fostering collaboration. And that's very important part. When you develop team relationship, you get to know them. And then here, the way how you encourage commitment is by setting goals and then do planning together and help your team to figure out what's the company goal and what's their individual goal. And
We're still not seeing the PowerPoint.
Jody, we're not seeing your PowerPoint. You were seeing your directory.
Oh, you can't see. Let me see. You can't see this one.
Yeah, it's just a file, or it's the folder.
Oh,
Right.
sorry.
Do you have dual monitors or something?
You may have selected that app instead of the entire screen.
Oh, okay. Let me see how this works.
Unshare and reshare the entire screen.
Oh. Uh-oh, let me go. Oh, I think probably because
Let me stop the screen share that you have.
okay, let me do a new share. How I can...
Okay, try again. Same thing.
How about this? Can you see it?
Nope, this is the only window we're seeing.
Oh,
You have to make a different selection when you share. For me, it's the one in the upper left. I'm not sure which one you're picking.
oh, here, for some reason it says it's paused. Let me try again. How about this?
That's the one. Perfect.
Okay. Okay. So we talk about the first two areas, developing team relationship and encouraging commitment, where you want to encourage people to share their, to participate. And then the third one is fostering collaboration. And then fostering collaboration is basically just, you want people to help each other and work towards a common goal. And what happened is team rely on each other to achieve the same goal, right? And as leader, you want to provide structures and you want to channel that energy to achieve the common goal. And here I want to illustrate this point with some games that we have. Let me do here. And let me go to this one. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
You see the red session, right? The red.
Yes.
Okay. So this is something I did just to make it fun. So the games we have, and look at this. This is like we have the late Thursday night show. The first one is the fostering collaboration. And what I would like to do is to divide us into two groups. Mark, if you can help me do that. And then each group, we want to, I have 4 brain teasers. And each team is expected to come up with the answer for both these, for all 4 questions we have here. And then we'll see who can score the best, the highest point. And while you do this exercise, I want you to think like how you share the information and as a team and how you help each other. And also how you communicate to each other to help you understand the question and solve the problem. Okay, so can we divide ourselves into 2 groups?
Yep, I have 2 rooms, one which will have 4 people, one which will have 5 people. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, of course. And can
Uh,
you guys still see the screen though?
let me make one change, however. There's a reason for it. Okay, since you are the leader, I'm going to put you in the room with 5. That way we
Okay.
have four participants in each, and you're in one of them. Okay.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Um,
All right. Everyone's been moved to their rooms. All right. Everyone's been moved to their rooms. You're in this room. You can describe
yeah.
what you need to do, and then we can describe it to the other room.
Hey, Mark. Yeah, I'm in this room and I can show the question. I can show my screen here, but the other room doesn't have this screen, right?
It will not. No, you're only in this room at this point. Do we need to go back together so you can describe everything to everybody first?
Yeah. So what I can do is I can do the maybe layout of. Can I?
Yeah, but the real question is, do you want everybody back together to describe the questions?
So there are 4. What's the best way of showing people these 4 slides? So
Well,
people can take picture with their phone.
that may be the best way, but the problem we have right now is that everybody is in 2 separate rooms.
Yeah. So maybe the best way is to take a picture of these questions.
Tell you what, let's do this. You go ahead and describe what's going to go on in this room, the room you're in.
So I think what we want to do is to have you guys answer these 4 questions or 4 brain teasers and come up with the solution. And then we'll see who will get the best answer. And I think if you're exactly right, we'll give you 1 point. And if you're not exactly right, but if you can really rationalize your answer and convince everybody, we'll give you ½ point. And if you're very far off, we'll give you 0 point. And then we will see which team wins.
Okay,
If you're
so
ready.
somebody in there get a copy of the questions, and then I'm going to move Jody
All right.
to the other room to describe the same thing.
Yeah. So
All right,
can somebody
I got
get
number 1.
Can everybody take your phone and take a
He's
picture?
got number 1, so
Number 1.
go to 2.
And this is 2.
All right, I got number 2.
Okay. And then this is number 3.
All right.
And then this is number 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to let them start, and I'll move you, Jody, to the other room?
Sure. Thank you.
All right.
Hi.
In this room,
Hi.
describe what you're going to do here.
Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you 4 questions here. And these are 4 brain teasers. And what I would like you to do to come up collectively the answer to these 4 questions. And then I want you to share information as a team and then also help each other come up with the solution and communicate in the best way you can. And if you're right, completely right, you get 1 point for each question. And if you are not exactly right, however, you can rationalize your answer and make everybody, convince everybody, we'll give you ½ point. If you're too far off, we won't give you any point. And at the end, we'll compare 2 teams and see who gets the highest point. Okay, so the first question, let me share the screen. Since we do not, I think the best way here, as we talked earlier, it's probably easier if we can get your phone and take a picture of each question.
Yeah, somebody in this room, please take a picture of questions 1 through 4.
Okay. Let's see if I can.
And I got one.
First one, and then the second one is this.
I'll do this one. Okay. I've got brain teaser too.
And the third one is this one.
There are 12 and
And it doesn't matter who has it.
Yeah, I
as long
took
as
that as
somebody
well.
has it.
I've got that. You can go on to 4.
This is 4.
Okay.
Okay. And remember what I said, that if somebody on your team have to give the reason why you come up with that answer, and then if everybody else agrees, you'll get half point. But if you hit the answer exactly right, you get that 1 point, right? Okay. Any questions you have?
so are we gonna take the teaser or not?
Yeah.
What?
The question will be also how long?
Oh, there.
We will have, I think you have 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Okay.
10 minutes, okay.
Awesome.
Jody, I'm going to move you back to the other room to see if anybody has any questions, and then
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So
That, but I don't know.
Then one might be hungrier than the other, you know?
this is your facilitator, by the way. You have approximately 10 minutes to work on these questions. And Jody is back in the room if you have any questions for her.
Yes. So like I said earlier, somebody on your team will have to give the explanation of your answer. And when I show the answer at the end, if you're exactly right, you get 1 point. If you're not right, but if you can convince everybody else, you get half point. And if you're very far off, you get no point.
No points.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Michael, did you have a opinion on this one, this brain teaser number 2? I thought I heard you start to say something.
No, I just didn't get a picture. I didn't have my phone and it wasn't,
Okay,
so I didn't get a picture of the questions.
gotcha.
Well, no, I'm trying to show my here on the screen. If you look at me,
Turn your phone flat. Turn it.
if I do that, if I turn it to that, it's going to.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I already tried that.
I recommend just reading it.
Yeah, I read it a couple times. 2. Well, shall we move on to brain teaser 3 and come back to it?
Yeah, go to
Yeah,
3
that's
and let's
good.
see that.
All right, I'll read it first, then try to show it.
Hey, listen, man.
There are 12. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. There are 12 individual white socks and 49 individual red socks, all mixed up in a drawer. All are the same size and material and style. What is the minimum number of socks you must pull out of the drawer with your eyes closed to make sure you get one matching pair? So basically there's 12 individual white socks and 49 individual red socks. What's the minimum number of socks you must pull out of the drawer with your eyes closed to make sure you get one matching pair?
52.
Hmm?
All right, gonna help.
Well, minimum
52.
number? Well, no,
Minimum,
as a
yeah.
minimum number. Okay. So,
and then it says, the surgeon took a look at him and said, I can't operate on him. He's my son, Robert.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty logical. Yeah, I mean, the father was probably
Cut out on us. The father was probably what?
the father was probably the one that was killed in the other car, right? Like you said, and the surgeon is the one that survived and had to operate on his son who's critically injured. I mean,
Okay. Well, then let's go ahead and let's kind of think which one we want to choose on this, and then we'll move on to number 2.
Just a real quick one, by the way. This is Mark Schroeder. I'm in the room in case you have any quick questions.
Lee, any thoughts? Or
Lauren?
Well, the passage doesn't say that there's two different cards though. So can we give them two scenarios at the same time, or it has to be one, I guess?
Let's just give them one. Let's give them one. So, I know there's a hook in here somewhere.
Yes,
and I think it's
trick in there.
I think it's more than what any of us have said.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to go with
The different card, you mean?
well, I mean, I myself am willing to do like if you want to think about like the stepfather or the birth father. But I would say if we're going to do that one, I would say that Lee, you or Lauren would explain that.
Okay.
Okay.
So if what do you think, Nicholas? What do you think about that?
Wearing gray, and Miss Gray is wearing white. Because if Miss Gray's talking to Miss Black, the woman in the black, and she doesn't wear the color of her name, it has to be Mrs. White. So if Mrs. White is wearing black, Miss Black can't be wearing black, so she can't be wearing gray because can't be wearing white because Miss Gray can't be wearing gray. So Miss Black is wearing gray. Miss Gray is wearing white.
That sounds about, yeah.
Awesome. So you guys have all your answers?
Not yet.
No, there's.
We have to go back to number 2. All right, number 2 again. 2 people, each on a horse. Each person insists his horse is the slowest. They plan to have a race to settle the argument, but neither person trusts the other not to hold back to his own horse. How can the slowest horse be definitely established?
They trade horses.
Are they riding
yeah,
horses or
yeah.
racing horses?
Well, they're just
Well, no.
riding them, it says, but they're gonna have a race.
Yeah.
But
well,
if
yeah,
I want my
they're
horse to, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're racing, but but each one says their horse is the slowest. But to ensure the horse itself is the slowest, they could trade horses. But then if they trade horses, John, then they would want to make the horse they're on try to go faster somehow. But your answer does make sense. Trade horses, unless somebody else can come up with something better.
But I mean, even if, okay.
You put some food out far away and take the harnesses off of the horses and see which one gets to the food the fastest.
Okay, all right, I like it.
I'll have them pull a certain way, like a carriage, to see which one go faster. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Nicholas, what do you think? I mean, I can read it again, unless you have it, right?
Yeah, can you read it one more time?
Okay, so 2 people each own a horse. Each person insists his horse is the slowest. They plan to have a race to settle the argument, but neither person trusts the other to not hold back his own horse. How can the slowest horse be definitely established?
Oh. I'd say for them to potentially maybe switch the horses and see whoever
The lady in white, Mrs. White is wearing black. Mrs. Black is wearing gray. And Mrs. Gray is wearing white.
Oh, wow. It's answered all four. Okay, let me see the other guy. All right, let me see.
Let me see who's on the other team. Nicholas, Lee.
Oh,
Hey, I
You know, if
replied
if we
to
do another breakout room,
I-
we'll have different people in the breakout room next time too. So we
uh,
won't have the same group.
Yeah, I can. I found you now. Okay. Yeah, I can go to the. I think we're wrapping up here. Can we finish over there? Get all the answers. I can get all the answers. If you can give. Yeah, if you can. No, we're already done here. You can just get all the answers there. Okay, quite done. Can we just finish up now? Is it possible?
Like, are they talking to us or what?
No, Jody's talking to Mark somehow.
guys, 1 minute warning in this room. 1 minute warning, and then we'll go back.
We're already done here.
We're done. We're done.
We're done here.
Okay. Let me let the other room know.
Yeah.
1 minute warning on time. After 1 minute, we're going to rejoin the main room, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ooh.
So that's probability, which I'm not good at. We'll leave that to the accountant.
No.
Okay, so this is my thought. I'm going to start off here. This is my thought. So you have the larger quantity of color is the red. It's 49 individual red socks, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So that's the largest quantity. So in order to get a pair, that would narrow that down to what? 40 or I'm sorry, 24. You'd have to get 25, right? At the very least,
Yeah.
25 of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 25 plus 12 is my thought. So 37.
37.
37 pairs or 37
37,
No, 37
socks.
socks.
socks?
Although,
I agree with that.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going back to the main room, please.
okay, we'll go with that since we have no choice.
Okay, yeah. Oh, we didn't go have number 4, Randy.
No, we didn't, but we can't do anything about that.
Hi.
Welcome everyone back.
Welcome
That
everyone.
was tough.
So I already recorded the answer from one room, and the other room, can you give me the answer you have?
That would be our group? Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay. So,
Jody, your camera's off.
Oh, okay, sorry. If you can give me the answer you have, that would be great.
sure, absolutely. And with your permission, Nicholas and Lee and Lauren, I will give the answers that we have.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
All right, so for the first one, with the cars and the fathers and the son, our thought on it is this, is that there are 2 cars in the crash. One car has a father, the other car has a father and a son. And the cars crash, the father that was by himself dies. The father in the other car survives. They rush to the hospital, and he's about to operate on his son who was driving in the car with him. That's our best guess.
Okay.
So that's number 1. Number 2 was the horses. And so the horses, we believe that the way to definitively find out which horse is slower is to swap horses and have each of the 2 people ride the other's horse and race that way. And that will motivate them to race as fast as they can on the other person's horse, which would leave the real true slower horse to be obvious.
Awesome. Okay.
And then we didn't get to number 4, but the third one, we try to do our best math skills, and we figured this, is that you take the larger sized number of socks, which was the red, you divide it in half, and that becomes 24 and a half. So we basically got to say 25. And then you add the 12 white socks, which makes it 37. So we say 37 socks would be the minimum to guarantee that you get a match.
Match.
Actually, that's wrong. I just my logic fell apart right as I was saying that.
Okay. Okay, let me give you the answers now.
I mean, it fell big time.
Okay, let me give you the answer
13.
now.
Well, can we tell them what our answers were for the other group?
Sure.
before?
Okay, yeah. You want to?
All right. So yeah, I'll say for number 1, we got the doctor is the mother of the patient. And number 2, we got the same thing, trade horses.
No, mother.
Number 3, we got 3. You have to pick 3 socks. Number 4, Mrs. White is wearing black. Mrs. Black is wearing gray, and Mrs. Gray is wearing white.
Oh, number 4 is the easiest one.
Okay, so now let me review the answer. This is the page.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
3 from the drawer.
okay. We got 2, right?
Number 3, I need explanation.
What's probability?
How do you get number 3?
You have to find the probability of.
No.
Yeah.
Mrs.
Oh,
Oh, I have a question. Can you explain number 3?
yes, number 3, let's go back. So basically, it's not too much about difficult math here. It's just if you grab 3 out of this, and assuming that you have, so because they have only 2 color, right? So if you grab any number of 3, that's the minimum number you can get to get the mixing.
3? But how come it's not 2 or 4? Or you talking?
Well, yeah, because if you pick one time and get a white sock, you pick another time and get a red sock, you already have one of each.
Yeah.
You have to pick at least one more. That's going to guarantee you to have one white sock or one red sock you pick.
Oh.
So even if you pick up a white sock the first 2 times or a red sock the first 2 times, you already made a match. So picking a third one just be ensuring that you make a match.
I think we
Sorry
got
about that,
confused.
team.
Yeah, no, I think we just got confused because they were all mixed up in the drawer. So we thought you could maybe pick, X amount of red socks or I don't know.
Well, I remember doing this kind of a problem in statistics, and there is a mathematical way.
Yeah, I did too. Sometimes we think too much, and
That's it.
so that's why these are brain teasers.
Very
But I
simple.
think we can conclude this game. I think the more important thing here, the conclusion of the team, is it's basically how we work in a team and how we help each other and brainstorm together to come up with a solution. And I think that's the moral of the game. That's the takeaway we want to give. Next one, I think, is we talked about the importance of collaboration. And the next topic is build trust. And build trust, I think we already know the most important thing in a relationship is to build trust. And it does take a very, very long time to build trust. It takes communication and listening. And so here, the game we have here is we call it the Golden Egg Award. And so let me get to this. I think the team that wins will have a golden egg here. If you guys want, I can give you later. But the idea is we want to have 2 groups again. So after this, everybody can go back to your own team. One group we call it boiled egg. The other group we call it fried eggs. For the boiled eggs group, this is a topic. So I want you to use your table topics skill. So maybe one to come up with a short answer to the question for 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. It's just exactly the same rule of table topics. And then within yourself, maybe you want to have a team leader and you want to vote to have the best story that illustrates the great earning. And then when we come back to the group session, the boiled egg group will present your top stories. And also the fried egg group, the same thing, but your topic is different. This is your topic here. And then same thing, you will have a little minute table topic session there, and then you vote your best story. And then when we come back to the joint session, that top story, the person who has the top story will present. So I think we have about, you have about 8 minutes, I think 1.5 minutes each to do this exercise, and then we'll come back. Is that good? Can you take a picture of these two? This is group boiled egg. Are you guys done?
I think we need a little bit more than 8 minutes though in the group, just because we'll be talking.
So each
besides
group, like you have 4 people, right? So you can do it in 8 minutes, and then we come back to the room. We'll do another 3-4 minutes.
Jody, can you get back to the second?
Well, I think we need at least 10 minutes in the group.
10 minutes. Okay, we'll do 10 minutes.
So one group does one of these topics and one group does another. Who does which?
So you guys can be the boiled eggs group. The other one can be the fried eggs group.
Okay.
Okay. So boiled eggs group, this is your topic. And then you do your mini session, table topic session there. And then you vote for your best table topic person, right? And this one is the other topic, and the same rule apply. And we come back, and the winners will present in the bigger group session.
Okay.
Okay,
So
Mark, can you help us to divide up?
Who will be team 1 and who will be team 2 is about to be determined once I get you into the breakout rooms. But team 1 will get the first question, and team 2 will get the fried eggs question. Is that correct?
Yeah. So team 1 is Rob's team.
No, I can't guarantee you get the same teams.
No, each team. Team
Unless
1
you put
is
us in the
Rob.
same team.
So we can do the same team. It's easier.
I can't guarantee. We did automatic. It's going to put you wherever it puts you.
Yeah. Let's just do it automatic. And Mark, you give us the questions.
I
can
move
do
everybody.
automatic, and wherever Rob is the boiled egg group, and the other team is the fried eggs.
Okay. Yeah, Rob is in fact going to be in breakout room 1, and we'll have the others in breakout room 2.
Okay.
Opening rooms now.
Same group.
Okay.
Oh, same group.
Surprisingly stable. Not expected.
We learn.
So which one are we again?
You
Or
are
the boiled egg topic.
group. This is the boiled egg group.
And the topic is everyone makes mistakes, but mistakes can be looked upon as opportunities for learning. Use 1 to 2 personal examples.
Which Mark were you talking to?
There's both.
Okay. Yes, I can think of an example where I had egg on my face. Many years ago, at a prior job that I had before that I started my current career. Back then, I was an assistant manager of a grocery store, and with some of the employees, I had poor relations. And on one occasion, I walked into a backroom, stockroom area, and I heard one of the employees, with which I did have a very poor relations, laughing about something. I somehow interpreted it as a joke about me. I personalized it. and simply because of my bad experiences with this person?
What I do is I go to work, it's a 10-hour shift, I'm working, doing all the stuff that I need to do, finish up, close the lights off, walk out the door, lock the door, and walk over to my parking spot. Only there was no car there. I thought, what did I do? Sometimes I park somewhere and I think, oh, I didn't park there today, I parked over there. So I went and started to walk to another area of the parking lot, and I thought to myself, you're really, really, really just trying to convince yourself that your car is somewhere that you can get to at this moment. And what happened was, that wasn't the case. My car, at that moment, I thought got stolen, but it actually got towed. And after I called the police.
Michael, you look like you want to be the second one to talk.
I was trying to think. Let me go. Let me think about it. Mine's too long.
Okay, John, you're ready.
I don't know that I ever get embarrassed, but okay, anyway. There was this one time we were doing these brain teasers in this club meeting, and when they asked how many socks you had to pull out of the drawer between 12 and 49, I said 52, and it's like, oh my God, how stupid is that? When I got thinking about it, it's like, oh, that's embarrassing. I'll just shut up, because I always have to be the smart person. I can't sit there and throw out that I'm.
Something that I messed up on when I was littler was when I played tennis. I used to play tennis all the time, and it was a sport that I played really competitively. Very fun sport. But I remember one match that I played, and it was in Houston. The weather was scorching hot. And I remember that I really didn't like the person I was playing. They actually cheated a few times on the score, and there was no one there to monitor. There were no parents. There was no line judge or umpire. So I got a couple of points, very crucial points, taken away from me. So I end up, me being 12 or 13 years old, brash, just about hitting puberty, I cheated back. I said, you give and you get. And that was my mentality. But little did I know that that cost me the match, because I had that mentality of being angry at the other person, and that it was karma that really bit me in the butt on that. So lesson learned from that was, don't cheat, first of all, and secondly, make sure that you really don't harbor anger towards really anything you do, because it'll
Kind of a little bit embarrassing to myself, I guess, because it's gotten into such a routine, and I kind of messed up, and just going through my routine.
That's a pretty good story.
That's pretty good, yeah. Are you ready, Michael?
This is kind of hard. I don't, embarrassing for me is that I don't get embarrassed. I put myself in the most unusual circumstances just to see how I function. I don't embarrass. But as far as egg on the face, well, it'd help if everybody in the group knew who I was and what I did. But I used to work I worked for the Dallas Police Department for 20 years, and I was a financial crimes investigator. And I had this case that was in the news, and it was in the media, and it was a big spectacle. And I just remember that I spent a lot of time on it, many, many months. And basically, after spending all this time, if I had interviewed this one guy, I would have realized it was never even a criminal matter. It was more like a civil dispute. And I just felt like I had egg on my face in the end, because it shouldn't have ever been worked on. I wasted all that time. Not embarrassed so much, but just like, my gosh, I wasted so much time. That was egg on my face. I mean, I don't know.
Awesome. Okay, so let's have a vote here. You guys want to send me?
That gives you 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's probably always better to listen twice as much as you talk and try to reassure people about things. So.
Excellent. Lauren?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I got, when I was in high school, I make very decent grades. So I thought that my first year of college would be just a piece of cake. So I make a mistake of taking all the difficult classes like chemistry.
Yeah, I had gotten my CTM. I don't remember what year, but I had a position with the department where I had to do a lot of public speaking, so I had joined Toastmasters to help out with that.
We can all, if y'all are okay with it, we'll vote verbally as to which one we think we want to present for our group. You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay, I like Lauren's.
Oh, thank you.
How about you, Nicholas?
I liked everyone's. It's hard to
Yeah, they're all good.
nail one down, right? Well, I liked Rob's. His was very relatable. That actually happened to me once. Lee's was very funny because of the scenario. I just think that's just a crazy scenario that you don't hear a lot.
Only answer him if he's in this room. I can only text him when he's in this room. Otherwise, I can't even chat.
I'll be back in a sec.
How can we return to the?
They're finishing up and voting in the other room, so I'm letting them finish.
Okay. We don't have the ability to return ourselves, right?
Yes, you can. I just did. I left and I came back.
Yes, you can return to the other room.
How do we do that?
You hit leave.
Yeah, there's a leave button lower right. Leave the room puts you back in the main room.
Okay.
Somebody leave with me, so I'm not over there.
Logic more than anything.
Yeah.
That happens.
How simple was it? You know, how simple was it? I tried to make it so complicated.
It was simple, but it was fun.
Yeah.
This is a facilitator. Are we just about finished up in this room?
We're good. We're good.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Teaser number 3, I still don't understand why she picked 3 though. What is that?
Because you take one sock, because you
We're
only
gonna
have to
close
get
all
one
the
pair.
rooms.
Yeah. So you could pick 2 red or 2 white at the
Yeah,
same
but
time.
if you get 2 red or 2 white and for the first pick, then you already have a pair.
Yeah.
Yes, then why did she get number 3?
In case
We're
you
going back
pick
to
a
the
red
main
one
room.
and a white one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because the third sock will definitely be one of those.
Yeah.
oh.
Breakout rooms are closed. We're now all back together again. Jody, you may continue. Everybody's back.
Yes. Okay, great. So we have the winner for this group act room, for the Friday act room, and who's the winner for the boy act room?
Lauren is, but I'll present.
Okay. So now it's the session for winner story sharing. Do you want to share your story first?
Well, I'll share Lauren's story because she asked me to present for her. But the story that Lauren learned was, well, first let's back up. And we were the hard-boiled eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So we were the boiled eggs. So we were asked to think of a time that we fell down, but we learned something from it. So Lauren shared with us that when she was very studious in high school and made really good grades and everything. So she thought that college would be the same way. And so she signed up for all of the hard classes in her major the first semester and ended up not being as successful as she had hoped. So the moral of the story is to not overestimate or become too confident in yourself, and set realistic goals.
Great. Great. Thank you. So, okay, so the fried eggs group, Mark, you want to share the story?
My embarrassing moment that I learned from was years ago when I worked for a grocery store chain. I was an assistant manager. It was a job that I did not enjoy. I was ultimately to leave it and start a career as a bank examiner. But at the time, that was my job. I had some difficult relations with several of the employees in the store. And on one occasion, I entered a back room, stockroom area. I heard one of the employees making a comment and laughing at it, which I personalized and assumed was a remark about me because I had very difficult relationship with that employee. And I unloaded on him. I accused him of making a rude remark about me. I accused him in front of several people, and I talked to him very harshly. I left the area, and then within a few minutes, I was approached by several people that had witnessed that, and they assured me that this person was in no way whatsoever making a reference to me. Because of the difficult relationship, I had simply assumed wrongly, accused someone wrongly, and did so in a very loud and public manner in front of numerous people. I mean, to that person's embarrassment. So I had to very embarrassedly apologize to that person, made it clear that I was in the wrong. And so I definitely learned from that and had egg on my face.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I think this is really, these are all very good stories. And then I was planning to interview, but at the end, given the time, I think I will just talk about basically from the game, we'll kind of feel like the experience of sharing our own stories with other people in your group kind of give us make us pull us closer to our teammates. And then in a team setting, this is something that can help us to foster relationship and encourage the collaboration and build trust as well, because you're sharing something really intimate about yourself. And the last aspect of team is resolving conflicts. And also resolving conflict, we know when we're people, there will be conflict sooner or later, right? The same, that's also in a team setting. We tend to have different kinds of problems due to different needs, expectations, perceptions of a problem. And usually there are about 5 ways to solve a problem, a conflict. The first 3 I don't really recommend. The first would be avoidance, like you as a leader choose to ignore the problem. The second one will be accommodation, right? One party choose to ignore the problem and just in pursuit of a better relationship. And the third one will be a win-lose situation. And that's actually the situation most people tend to use, the strategy most people tend to use to solve the problem. You're imposing your idea over the other person's idea. So you're happy, but the other person is not that happy. So that's not a very productive way of solving a conflict. And then the fourth way is this compromise. You want to compromise something, you give up something. And that's good, but you're having a peaceful relationship, but then you're not happy. What we would like to have is a situation of a consensus where people they're all willing to search for a particular solution and make everybody happy. So here, the game we have here is actually a situation that I made related to COVID-19. And you guys can read this, and I'll just call 2 people to answer, see how you would solve this problem. So as the COVID-19 spread, and then we know like somebody is proposing the use of the anti-malaria drug, and the other group will just insist that we need further tests of the drug. And so if you are the person to make a decision, how would you solve this conflict? Okay, Mark, the host, can we hear from you?
Oh, wow. Gave me an easy one, didn't you?
I'll do it.
I certainly don't.
Okay, join.
I'll be
Okay,
happy to- I'll be
we'll
happy
just
to
take
do
a
that.
volunteer, actually.
I certainly don't agree that the anti-malaria drug is necessarily the answer. But I do think that this is something that is new, and there are a lot of untried solutions. There are a lot of other antivirals that could be tried against it. The first thing to do is to get everything that is possible into clinical trials and figure out which ones have some effect and which ones don't. I do believe it's going to be a long time for a vaccine, so I don't think that's a viable solution for most people. So I think at that point, you've got to come up with a treatment that allows people to survive through it. There is definitely something that the people that are having severe reactions have in common. We don't know what it is. Some people have thought it may be blood type. Some people have thought it's something else. But if you have someone in their 20s and someone in their 90s and they both are dying, they share something in common. We just don't understand what it is. And so I would be looking for what those people share. If there was anything that was, racial, lineage, anything like that, that might explain why certain people are more susceptible than others, other than just, yeah, they smoked or they had COPD. That's where I would start.
Awesome. Okay, we'll take volunteers. John, you said you want to do it?
Yeah, I'll do it. Since I work in healthcare.
Yeah.
Well, as the commanding officer, yes, I'm ideally in a perfect world, which there's by the book and then there's what really happens in life. And although I would love for them to have more clinical study and proof that something works and does not work, in this life and death situation, I would make the decision based on viability. I would talk to the family if I had them available, by phone or whatever. If the patient is unavailable, is incapable of making the decisions. Otherwise, I'd ask the patient, listen, I have this possible solution to your problem. It may help you. It may speed your death. Are you willing to try this and let's go for it, or get away from it? I would, if I could, if the patient, what we do a lot of times when I was a paramedic and stuff, if you are unable to make a decision or come across a patient that's completely unconscious, we always assume that they'd want to be saved, and we do everything we can to save them. So luckily, this is a doctor's decision and not our decision. But knowing that it has helped some people, it's a viable possibility that will then, there's no guarantee, but I would go to the person if they were capable of responding and make the decision for themselves if they wanted to try it. Or if I could go to the family and ask the family, it's like, listen, I can't guarantee this is going to work, but it's a good shot. Do you want to do it? That's what I do.
That's awesome.
So for me, I think what would drive my decision would be, one, looking at the patient as a whole, and ultimately looking at which patient is the sickest, if I'm reading this correctly. So one patient gets it, the other patient doesn't. They both equally need it, but you only have one set of medication. I'd have to make a clinical decision on which patient is the sickest, and then two, what the side effects are and if there are further contraindications. So if there's a patient that is sicker than the other one, then that one would be the one that would get the treatment, unless I felt like the other medication based on the sickest person. If they have other symptoms that would possibly create more harm by putting them on that medication, then I would give it to the other person. So I'd have to look at the clinical reasoning behind that and what possible contraindications would be. And ultimately, if putting one person over the other one would actually put them at more risk of dying based on what we do know about the medication.
So how about the sickest person? What if it's also the one has less chance for survival?
So if it's the sicker person and their past medical history indicates that it would be contraindicated to use that medication, I would not use it, because I would feel like you're actually you're putting them in a more harmful situation. That the risk of them dying from being put on the medication outweighs the benefit. That would just be the decision. That would it be the driving force? I've actually read a couple of articles on that, and what a lot of doctors are doing, well, not a lot, but one thing that's happening is they're overlooking some of the side effects, and one of which is heart attacks and heart arrhythmias. So if you have a patient that already has chronic heart arrhythmias and stuff like that, you might actually be causing more harm because you're eager to try this new medicine that might help, but you're overlooking their overall cardiac function before they got sick and overlooking the side effects of the medication. So it may not be a treatment option for them.
Okay. Thank you. Nicholas?
Yes, thanks, Jody. It would really stink, I think, to be the commander-in-chief of the United States right now. It's just an incredibly difficult decision, overarching. But I think that if I were to choose one, it would definitely be going through further testing of really what's the most effective drug. Really what I think too is that I just read something about how we funded about Johnson & Johnson just got $1 billion of funding to make X amount of vaccines. I think they're trying to come out with 1 billion vaccines to be able to test and to get positive results. I think too that what we can do is, if you wanted to go down the route of testing somebody with a vaccine that hasn't truly been tested yet, bear in mind we wouldn't want something that would harm somebody. So I think that you would be able to if you were able to treat someone that is on the cusp of starting to feel better, so that their immune system is already building back up and fighting the virus, instead of just treating or using a vaccine on somebody that's dying right now, that doesn't have any chance to make it if you give them this specific vaccine. So hopefully that wasn't too complex, but
yeah.
In a nutshell, you can try both, but you need to be cautiously optimistic, I think.
Yeah. Thank you. That's good. Dagan, anyone else? You guys want to talk about this?
No, my thoughts are pretty much what other people already said.
Okay.
Jody?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Rob, you had your hand up. Do you want to go first? Okay. My solution isn't to the vaccine question. It's to a point Nicholas made on how difficult it would be to be president now. Well, what we could do is, instead of one president every day for 4 years, in that 4-year term, we could have a different person be president each day. And over that 4-year term, that would be 1,461 presidents. Anyone could take the stress for one day, and then for the rest of your life, you would get a pension, and everyone would call you Mr. President. So that solves the difficulty of being president right there.
I like that.
That's a good one. That solves all.
I would probably get it the day that we got attacked and had a nuclear war. That would be my luck, but maybe not.
Rob, next is you. Hey, Rob.
Okay, I'm in.
Okay.
All right. Obviously, I think that a lot of the answers that everybody already came up with were good answers. You know, there's a lot of thought behind them. I think that although if I was the commanding officer and it was ultimately my decision in the very end as to what way to go, my thought is this, is that I would go before that decision is made. And I would say I would want to make sure that I get all of my workers, all of my team together to give me all of their best professional information regarding everything that they've already been through, that they've already tested, what their, I guess, projections are, all of those things. Bring those all together to give me the best information that I can possibly have. And I know this is more of a generic, this is kind of a non-committal, I'm not putting my opinion out there on the line at this point, but I would gain all of that information and then I would go ahead and make my decision on that. If most of the information told me that there's more people dying than we can keep up with, and if we don't do something, if we keep testing, that we're gonna have casualties in the millions and deaths in the millions, then I probably would go with some sort of vaccine, like a malaria drug or anti-malaria drug or something like that. However, if there wasn't projections from my team that pointed toward that, then I think I would do the further tests. So I think I would just absorb everything from my team and then make my decision from there.
Awesome, awesome. Anyone else, or do we have everyone? Okay, and with that, I think we'll just conclude this session, and I think we did an awesome job. Everybody did a great job. Thank you guys very much for your participation, and if somebody is dying to have this participant certificate, I can send it to you at no cost. So thank you, and I'll turn this to the president and then see if you guys want to have any announcements.
Who's the president?
Okay, I'll just go ahead and start speaking. You want to stop sharing your screen there,
Okay.
and then we'll go ahead and
Back.
wrap up. Don't have a whole lot to discuss this evening. I think is Chase still? No, he's not on.
At some point, Chase appears to have left the meeting.
Okay, so I think at this point then we just have our one guest for this evening, Lauren. Lauren, is there anything that you wanted to share with the group?
No.
No? All right. So just as a reminder, the dues are due on April the 30th now. They've extended those. Looks like we'll be doing Zoom through April the 30th. And then I'm not real sure what we've got going on at Ozona, if they're going to have the space to have us back right away, or if with social distancing they're having to move us around. So just be cognizant of that. And
Yeah, I will check and get an answer out soon.
okay, and Mark will be checking on that. So just keep posted as far as our location and everything as we move forward. Does anybody else have anything?
I would say on top of that, Lee, is that even once Ozona is ready to go, there may be people that may not be ready to step into that venue. So we have to at least consider that as well, as far as how far we extend the virtual meetings.
Well, what we can do is let's find out from Mark really, you know, how quick we can get back into Ozona, for one. And then for two, let's plan on the 30th, actually. By then we should have more details. We can vote at that time and see how many people are comfortable with meeting at Ozona, how many people would prefer to stay virtual. And if we have a majority of people that would prefer to stay virtual for a couple additional weeks, we can probably manage that. My understanding was splitting the meeting didn't work too well the one week that we attempted that. It's a little hard.
The biggest problem was there were some technical difficulties. It has to do with the fact that right now everyone is probably within 3 feet maybe of their speaker and their microphone, and that is not true at Azona's. Getting the mic all the way from the stage was difficult. It's hard to hear.
So then the only other option might be to look at a different venue, perhaps. Maybe it's a Central Market might be an option. It's a much smaller room, so probably speaking up would be a little bit easier. Or maybe even having it at IHOP or Denny's, one of the other meeting locations. It's a little more quiet, less distant. We can.
We also
why can't?
What the district recommendation is and when they recommend a change.
I have no idea. I haven't heard anything.
And what's the big, okay, if we go back to Azona's and we have virtual guests too, what's the problem with having a laptop or device on the podium that everybody steps to when they're presenting? And then that way that would
be the answer. Yeah, we need to put something physically closer to people on the stage.
Right.
We have not tried that. Yeah, we have not tried that. That might work, whether it's a phone or a tablet or even a laptop.
There's somebody could get a wireless microphone.
Yeah, we could look at that too. Why don't we just kind of look at the 30th, see where we're at that point, take a vote and go from there. And, you know, like I said, if we have, you know, half the members or more that for whatever reason don't feel comfortable going back to Azona, then we'll look at that. If it's 1 or 2 members, then that might make a different decision.
So the stay home order ends when? Do we know? Is
Well, it officially, I believe, ends on April 30th, but it could be extended.
It could be, right. Exactly.
Which I'm sure it will be.
Hey,
I wouldn't be surprised if it
I thought
was.
Dallas is less impacted, and I read an article today, like with the humidity and heat. I mean, now with the mail, you don't have to quarantine those anymore because the heat. I mean, the virus tend to stay on the surface less.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it can survive a Texas summer. But I mean, technically we can, so we'll see whether or not it's hardier than we are. It shouldn't be, but you never know.
There are cases in Arizona. I used to live in Phoenix. It's 120 degree, and now
Those
right.
that worry me.
Okay, so
heat resistance.
So Mark will get some more information for us. We'll decide. We'll just kind of play it by ear, but we know for sure that through the 30th will definitely be here virtual. So, Does anybody else have anything?
Just a couple of quick comments. Jody, congratulations. You were really close to a DTM. We're looking forward to having you complete that. That will be wonderful. Number 2, yes, Mike Dana. So most of you probably don't know or remember Mike. I do. I was a member back when Mike was a member. And yep, he was a Dallas police officer at the time. And he has been trying to make it back to a meeting here and there off and on for many months, moved away for a while, and he's still very much interested in the club, and this has allowed him to join back up and become part of it again. So I think that's wonderful. He's a nice guy. So good to see him again.
I thought I saw him pop in, but he's not here now. So
no, he sent me a private message that said he had to go to another online meeting.
Okay,
I'll take that back, to another meeting. He didn't say whether it was online. Given what he does, there's no telling whether it's in person or online. He could easily be on the front line.
All right. Does anybody else have anything? All right. Well, with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thanks.
All right, we're adjourning the meeting. I will now stop the recording in 3, 2.